This is the view that you see when you sit down to watch one of my videos. A clean work surface, me working away happily at my next project, no clutter, just a clean work surface. What you don't see is what I've hidden away from everybody until this video. Years of spending and buying things that I really didn't need. I wanted them. I didn't really need it all. This space was supposed to be a place for me to be creative and productive and to make beautiful things. My husband worked day and night to finish the inside of this building. He built that workbench for me. And look what I did to it. I cluttered it. I collected things. I piled things on top of stuff. And honestly, I spend more time looking for things than I do actually creating. I feel ashamed and guilty, sad and depressed because I know or I feel that I've let my husband down, my mom down, and most of all myself. But today, we're going to start cleaning it up, and I'm going to hopefully give you some tips so you can make your space one that you'll be productive in as well. Let's go. Tip number one is to focus on one area at a time. Rather than looking at your space as one whole area, break it down into different zones and start with a zone that you can clean up, organize, and declutter relatively quickly. That way, you get that immediate sense of accomplishment and you'll just feel so much better about the process rather than being overwhelmed by looking at the whole space. Before you dive in, take just a minute with a piece of paper and make notes, zones on that piece of paper as to where you're going to start first and where you're going to go after that. That way, you're not just wandering around aimlessly lost in a sea of stuff. My second tip is to keep your most used items close by and relatively contained. For me, this means a bookshelf that I purchased at Walmart. This is where I keep my paints, glue sticks, and really a barrage of things, paintbrushes. I purchased two 3-tier spice racks at TJ Maxx. So think outside the box when you're thinking about storage solutions. I bought these for my paints. They also have these little 3-tier spice shelves at the Dollar Tree, but I knew they were not going to be big enough to hold all of my paint. I had the idea to put one on the very top of the shelf and put the paint that I used the least up there, and then the ones that I used the most on the first shelf. And I later changed my mind, which is okay. As you go through this process, this the the first round you make may not be the permanent home for those things, and that's fine. Now, I had these red cubes for years, and this is what I used to store my paint in, side or laying on their side, and it just wasn't working, which is why I got the spice racks. But these little cubes are great for storing spray paint, and each one will hold 6 cans. Dollar Tree does have some available now in white, and I think they're roughly the same size. Now, for my paintbrushes, I'm using two little plastic buckets. I tend to want to over organize sometimes. One bucket has my regular paintbrushes, the other has chippy brushes. You could use jars, whatever you have on hand. This little drawer organizer from Dollar Tree is holding my sponge brushes and sponges. And for right now, it's working out just fine. My third tip is to take advantage of the vertical space. Everybody may not have room for these bookshelves like I have, but if you do, I highly recommend them. I got them from Walmart, Mainstays brand, pretty inexpensive and very easy to put together. They also have smaller versions. Another option would be to get the storage cube units. Although I don't recommend getting the Mainstays brand one from Walmart. We had a devil of a time putting it together, but that is an option to use the storage cubes and the little fabric bins. Another great use of vertical space is behind the door using shoe organizers. Those make great containers for your craft supplies. Also, if you have the room, pegboard. I can't stress enough what a great space saver pegboard is. Now, we used full sheets in here, but Lowe's and Home Depot do have smaller pieces that are already cut down. So, this is great for hanging your scissors, miscellaneous tools. You can put baskets on there. The possibilities are endless if you're able to squeeze in some pegboard. So I ended up putting my tools on the very top of the shelf. My acrylic paints and brushes on the second shelf, all my chalk paints and my most used adhesives next, and then my uh, wipes and some beads and some miscellaneous items down on the lower two. And I'm so proud of myself for how that turned out. Now for the second area, my workbench. And as you see, this is one long workbench. This has kind of become a catch-all. This is the area where I do my staging. This is where you see the after shots of the things that I've made. And then this on the end has really become a mess. Another great piece of advice that I can give you is set aside a certain amount of time a day. Like if it's an hour or 2 hours, maybe even 30 minutes, don't let yourself get overwhelmed and frustrated. Instead of sticking to my plan, I got distracted by that little basket up there and the hardware holder above it on the pegboard. It contained a lot of small items, mainly Christmas, and my brain just got overwhelmed. So, a tip I do want to share really quick is to remove the items from their original packaging because that takes up a lot of room. And what I like to do is put small items into sandwich bags. They're very inexpensive, and then you can transfer those small items into a larger plastic container to keep your like items together, like all your Christmas embellishments and wood cutouts, etc. This 3-pack of mini plastic containers that have the flip top handles on them are great. Yesterday, I got totally off track. My intention was to move to the next space on my list, which is the work desk or the work, whatever you want to call it. And I got clearly off track because I started to quote unquote micro organize. I would run into things like Christmas. I had some wooden snowmen laying there, and I'm like, ooh, maybe I should start on boxing up all my Christmas and winter. And my head honestly just got, I was overwhelmed. And if anybody tells you that this process is easy or quick, it's not. It's not. I mean, if you watch the reality shows on TV and, you know, some of the videos even on YouTube, you know, professional organizers and things like that, this video has taken me months to do. All right, I started last fall. And in between life and record my regular videos and running a business, it gets out of hand. And when you throw in a good dose of depression and sometimes racing thoughts, you can't think straight, this is what you end up with. And sometimes this is the situation you find yourself in. So take a breath, which is what I did yesterday. I got frustrated, really overwhelmed. I stopped for the day. Okay, so I'm going to start back on task, and we're going to get this work desk cleared off and cleaned. I've never kept it a secret that I've dealt with depression and anxiety since I was a teenager. And what you're looking at right here is just part of what I had hidden in the trunk of my car, because shopping was my way of trying to make myself feel better, which led to buying items that were on sale, even though I didn't need them, or buying things thinking, oh, I can make something with that. Shopping is a high for me, but afterwards, when the high wears off, I feel guilty for spending the money on things I knew deep down that I didn't need. So I would put what I bought in the shed or keep them in the trunk of my car so I wouldn't see those things, because looking at them only reminded me of feeling guilty and ashamed and for spending money when I knew we couldn't afford it. And so this is how I ended up with a space so cluttered I didn't know what I had. And I had many, many multiples of the same thing. So it's a vicious cycle. Shopping to forget my feelings, and then feeling guilty and sad and depressed all over again because I bought when I didn't need to. And that is my reality. And it did spill over into my house, one room of my house, and another shed outside, which I will show you in a later video. I shared that little bit about myself, hoping that it would help somebody else that's out there, whether you're a YouTube creator or you just like to craft at home. I think we all, from one time or another, we get caught up in wanting to have the latest and the greatest. And oh, I saw this YouTuber use this, and this crafter did this, and we run out and we buy it. And so from a while back, I haven't bought much of anything. If I've bought anything, it's been organizational supplies like bins and trays and things like that. So don't feel like you're alone. If you have depression and anxiety, you're not alone. I'm right there with you. And another one of my problems is I'm a terrible procrastinator. I have the attitude, yeah, I'll put it up later, I'll put it up tomorrow, you know, especially doing YouTube. A lot of times I'm in a hurry and I'm getting a craft done, and everything ends up not being put back where it belonged. So, a new habit that I am establishing for myself is when I get done with something, it's going to go back to the place where it belongs. Tip number 5 is to keep like items together. And this means even the seasonal items. So, what you see me doing here is I'm sorting my Christmas ornaments. I have a little box down here that I keep wood Christmas ornaments in. These are unfinished. I probably know I have way too many, but I am putting them into little bags, sorting them out by kind. And when you're going through your own craft stash, keeping like items together means like fabric, wood items, ribbon, paint, scrapbook paper, whatever craft supplies that you have, keep them in one place, like items together. That way, when you go to look for something, it's where it's supposed to be. Now, for me, even though I have unfinished wood that's Christmas, I don't put it with my regular blank wood. I put it in a separate, smaller bin that will go into my big Christmas totes because I won't need that until we start crafting for Christmas again, which in the YouTube world, we will do some Christmas in July. Tip number 6 is trash, keep, donate, and sell. As you go through the process, decide what you're going to keep, what's trash, are there things that you can donate, and are there things that you can sell to make a little extra money. I have several bags full of things that I'm going to donate. I haven't decided just exactly where yet, but I have all my Christmas boxed up in 3 containers. And inside the bigger containers are smaller containers with my smaller embellishments and my um, fabric and things like that. Here are the 3 containers that I boxed up inside the shed. I labeled them with painter's tape, box 1, box 2, and box 3. And my husband suggested that I take a piece of paper and write down what is inside each box rather than trying to write it on the label itself. And I think this will be a great system. I hope that it works for you as well. Use containers that you already have and only buy more after you see what you need. In my case, I used wicker baskets that I already had. I used plastic kitchen containers, little jars, trays. As I emptied out more stuff and decluttered, I found out I had more empty containers. A few of my favorite containers from Dollar Tree are these divided containers that you find in the tool section. They are bigger than the ones you get in the regular craft section. They're divided and are great for fitting into drawers or small spaces. My absolute favorite are these containers with the latching lids and the handle, and I hear they are back at Dollar Tree. If you see them, grab them. They are well worth the $1.25. Another favorite container are these 12 by 12 scrapbook storage cases. I use one to store the blank thin wood pieces that we get from Dollar Tree rather than hang them up. I also use them to store rolls of Cricut vinyl inside my house and another one to store scrap pieces of vinyl. I use these out in the she shed, stored on my bookshelf on their end, and they fit perfectly and are good for so many things. I grab mine at Hobby Lobby. They're $3.99 every day. For cheap or even free storage solutions, check your thrift stores, yard sales, auctions, Facebook. This little brown cabinet was going to be thrown away. It was a piece of office furniture that sorted paperwork. It's normally stored horizontally on top of a desk, and when they asked if I wanted it, I grabbed it. I, it, I set it up vertically underneath my workbench, and it works perfectly for storing those little embellishments and some of my other items. I dug that rack out of a dumpster to store my flowers. For my ribbon storage, I sort my seasonal ribbon into Christmas and then fall. And I store it in this large 4 drawer filing cabinet. I purchased 2 of these at an auction several years ago, and it works out perfect for me. Now, there are tons of different ribbon storage solutions out there on Facebook, Pinterest. This is just what works for me. These drawers are very large and deep, so don't discount filing cabinets, especially if you have them at home that you're not using. The possibilities are endless. Remember when I said that my stuff had spilled over into another building? This is our screened in back porch. And as you see, there is still tons of stuff to go through. So if you would like to see a part 2 of this video, leave me a comment, give this video a thumbs up. Let me know that you want to see more of my organizational journey. This is a small room in my house where I now do my editing. It's also the room where I recorded my very first YouTube videos. As you see, there is stuff here that needs to be sorted through for my journey to be complete. Even if I put something into a clear container, I labeled it. I didn't use anything fancy. I used painter's tape. And I even labeled my drawers. That way I wouldn't spend time searching for something. So everything is labeled so I know exactly what's in it. For every space that I cleaned up, for every bin that I cleared out, I was happy. I celebrated. I was overjoyed that I organized my paint shelf. It tickled me to death. It gave me a feeling of accomplishment that I could even be able to walk through my craft shed without having to trip on anything. So celebrate, even if you just clean out one drawer, even if you just clean out one small area. Be proud, be happy. Take before and after pictures to remind yourself where you came from, where you started, and where you are now. At least for me, an organized space means I can think better. My creativity is better. And I don't know about you, but that's how it is for me. There were days I did not want to come out here because I was walking into such a mess, and I would just stand there in the middle of the room thinking, what am I going to make today? What am I going to make? And I would go to grab something and I'm like, "Oh, I'll do this." And I went to look for something to go with it and I couldn't find it, and I got so frustrated that I wanted to give up. I just wanted to give up, but I didn't. And so that led me to making this video in the hopes that these tips that I'm giving you today will help you in your space, in your craft room or craft table or whatever area in your home that you have. I hope these tips will help you. If you put them into practice, make them work for you. Take them and, like I always say, make them your own. I wanted to remind you guys really quick that this video is part of the Clean-A-Palooza Cleaning and Organizing Challenge that was hosted by the one and only Indy Annie Jones. Her channel, as well as a playlist full of more inspiring organizational and decluttering videos, will be linked in the playlist below. Thank you, Annie, so very much for hosting this challenge and for making me get off my butt and do this. So, guys, go by and show them some love. It's hard to believe this is what I started with when I began this project. And now, this is what I turned it into. I am beyond thrilled, guys. Look at it. It's neat. It's tidy. I can actually walk through here. I love it. I am proud of myself for seeing this through. You all, you just don't know. I never thought that I would get to this point. I really didn't. I wanted to quit so many times. And my hope is that I inspire you to clean up your craft space. Start with just one space, one small area, and just do it. Share this video out with somebody that could benefit from these tips. I know there are others out there. There's lots of people out there that have trouble with organizing and decluttering, and I am by no means an expert, and I still have a ways to go in this room. But if you would share this video, give it a thumbs up, maybe we can reach a lot of people and they can benefit from these simple tips and maybe benefit a little bit from what I went through. Everything looks so neat and tidy now. I can't believe it. I did this. I say it again. I just can't believe it. So what I would like to know is, which of these tips did you find the most useful? Comment and let me know. I I'm curious, which ones are you going to put into practice? And what are your problem craft areas in your space when it comes to organizing and decluttering and things like that? I want to know what your craft space is like. Please leave me a comment below and let me know your thoughts on this video. I love reading your comments, guys. You guys are my cheerleaders, and I wouldn't be here without you. And I appreciate you guys sticking with me, watching this video. And my hope is that you got inspiration from it. And oh, I'm excited. I'm excited. I have worked long and hard on this video, y'all, and I want you to get some inspiration and benefit from it. Look at this drawer. It was a jumbled mess before, and now it's all organized and clean. And I, I I can't believe it. Everything is labeled. My drawers are labeled. I know exactly what's in there. I've got my dowel rods and my skewer sticks, my quart paint stir sticks, pre-made bows, buttons. I mean, I can't. I'm. I don't want to cry, but watching this video back while I'm editing, I I've come a long way, and I know there's going to be days when my depression will kick in, and that'll never go away. But I'm never going to let this space get in that shape again like it was at the beginning of this video. That will never ever happen. I still have areas in here that I need to work on. We have some items at the very back of the room in the left corner that are household stuff that I need to do something with. So if you're curious as to my YouTube setup, and I've had a lot of other creators and ask, this is where I film. This little area right here. My camera arm, which in my case, I use my cell phone. I purchased off Amazon. It's very simple. It does a good job. You can configure it in different positions. And as you notice there, that's the view that you see. That's a silicone mat. It's very, very handy. My lighting. I get a lot of questions on my lighting. These are shop lights from Walmart. They're the Hyper Tough brand. They're LED lights. They plug in. There's no hard wiring involved. And they are super bright. I don't use ring lights. I don't use, what do they call them? Soft box lights or something. This is where I do my staging. And a lot of people think it's like a wall, but actually it is one of those trifold presentation boards like the kids would use for a science project. See, it just folds up. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to get another one and do a new background. You guys, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it with your family and friends or anybody that needs to see it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let's grow this community and help this video reach as many people as possible. I love you guys. Thank you for sticking with me. You are simply the best. And until next time, go get your craft on, y'all. Bye.